What often repeated fact has been debunked. Science doesn't know how bees fly. Bees shouldn't be able to fly according to science. We know perfectly well how bees fly, and science definitely doesn't say they shouldn't be able to. This myth is based on a thought experiment about how, if bees had stationary wings like an airplane, they wouldn't be able to fly. You're telling me Bee Movie lied to me? Yes. Bees can't really talk. Humans use 10% of their brain. I've heard that compared to saying we only use 33% of a traffic light when I was a kid. Kinda made it stick. So I've now been called wholesome and corrected an invalid piece of knowledge. I'll call that a good day. Brain scientist here. It's more accurate, so say we only know what 10 to 20% of brain activity might be doing. It's not that the rest of the brain isn't being used, we just have no real idea what's going on. It looks like there's constant activity pretty much everywhere, all the time though. Baby birds will be rejected by their mothers if you touch them. Untrue. Yes, everyone believes this. But that isn't to say you should help every baby animal you find that looks abandoned. Sometimes the mama is out somewhere and will be back for the babies. It's best to leave baby animals where they are, unless they are visibly injured and you have a quick way to get them to a wildlife rehabilitation center. Please don't try to rehabilitate injured wildlife if you don't know what you're doing. Seriously. People don't understand what can happen. Someone in my area raised a baby deer for whatever reason and then moved away. Now there is a small baby deer around that isn't scared of people, houses or dogs, but if you wear the wrong hat, it will straight up trample you when startled. Has happened to me, and she has attacked at least one other person before. She is just really confused about how to be wild but also sucks at being cool, so now she is not in a great position. NASA spent millions to invent a pen while the Russians used pencils. Some guy invented the pens and sold them to NASA. The Russians used grease pencils for like a year, then bought the same pens for the guy who invented them. Edit. You can read more about it. NGT. Some guy invented the pens and sold them to NASA. Asterisk Dave. Paul Fisher developed the pen on his own dime, with his only remuneration being the exclusive right to market it to the public as the official NASA space pen. But they got them for cheap. $6 a piece. Daddy long legs are the most venomous spiders in the world but don't have fangs long enough to pierce your skin. We can't even agree which daddy long legs we are talking about when we say this. Gum stayed in your stomach for 7 years. I am growing watermelons in my stomach right now. Almost ripe. My mom's grandfather used to tell her this, then point at pregnant women and say, "See? That's what happens when you swallow a watermelon seed." The fact that states you eat about 8 spiders in your sleep per year. The fact was literally created as a scheme to prove that people will believe anything. Even crazier is that the fact that it was a scheme to prove that people won't believe anything. If you eat, you have to wait 30 minutes to go swimming. I have no sources to back me up, but maybe this one was created just make sure little kids didn't eat, feel nauseous and jump in the pool anyway. This is probably the origins of this fact. People probably got tired of cleaning little Jimmy's puke from the pool. You should put something in the mouth of someone having a seizure. I had seizures for about a year a while back when I was with my ex. Well, the first time it happened it was a really bad seizure, and she never been around someone having one and had no idea what to do. As I was seizing, I was biting down on my tongue really hard to the point blood was just coming out my mouth. She tried sticking my wallet in my mouth at first and couldn't, so she stuck her fingers in my mouth and was trying to push my tongue out from between my teeth. I remember when I came to and she told the paramedics that they told her I could have bit her fingers off. Was a bit of a surprise for both of us, lol. I hope you're doing better. Blood is blue in your body before oxygen hits it. A teacher once told me that. I had 8th graders arguing this with me when I was teaching. I was ready to pull my hair out. You can see the Great Wall of China from space. Edit. I thought I was clear, but I meant naked eye. Also, thanks for the awards. You can, however, see space from the Great Wall of China. I'm calling beep on this one. The tongue has different sections for bitter, sweet, sour, etc. I'm half convinced that this was a psychological experiment to see if people would believe something even if they could test it themselves to see if it was false. No one is left-brained or right-brained, except for that one guy who only had half a brain. He is actually right-brained. So the brain he had left was right. That you won't be saved if you're an organ donor. A hospital doesn't give a beep about your donor status until after you've been declared legally dead but are still hooked to life support and have to contact your next of kin. If you aren't a donor and next of kin doesn't sign off, you're taken off life support and you die. If you are a donor but next of kin doesn't sign off, same process. In order to donate your organs you must be an organ donor who have next of kin that will sign off on it. Only way to guarantee it will happen after you're dead is to have a living will drafted stating that you want your organs donated. Only then is Gift of Hope contacted and will come to procure the organs, tissues and determine if they're viable for transplant. Nurse here. A person that has signed their organ donor card has created a new legal document overriding any will currently in use. In some provinces, territories, organizations like Gift of Life can consider the wishes of the family and override the donor card. But this is not the policy across the whole of Canada. I know the family can make the final decision in Ontario, but in Alberta for example, the patient's wishes are followed as it's a legally binding document. If there is no card on the person when they are admitted and death is imminent, we are required to ask the family if they know the patient's wishes, or what the family would prefer. I don't know the specifics in other countries. The McDonald's coffee lawsuit was frivolous. If you want to ruin your day, search for the pictures. Agreed, and what's worse is people say she was in it for the money. The unfortunate old lady was just trying to have her medical bills covered, and the large amount of money that she was awarded turns out was the juror's choice after hearing how negligent McDonald's was. The dollar amount was equal to the average daily revenue of their coffee sales. It didn't help that McDonald's defense was basically to just slander the woman. Nothing is gonna beat the jury off than mocking an old woman who was injured by you. Shaving makes your hair grow back faster, thicker. I think that was invented to convince young male teens to shave off the rat stash they have growing on their faces. At least that's what I say to get my teen to shave. Women actually do not have a higher pain tolerance than men. Turns out pain tolerance depends on the person, not their gender. I mean, that question is sort of unanswerable. There's no way to verify if my 5/10 is the same as your 5/10. That Columbus proved the world was round. Everyone with any education knew the world was round. Columbus was if anything wrong because he thought the earth was smaller than Greeks had shown into years ago. The idea was completely invented by Washington Irving for a mostly made-up biography. Years ago being an understatement. Well over 1,000 years. You won't always have a calculator with you. Little did they know that we would have a whole computer with us in our pocket. And we'll use it for the greatest good. Shitposting and arguing politics with strangers. All the fun facts we learned in school. The Taft getting stuck in the bathtub one being false really pissed me off. Wait, what? I mean, I wouldn't have expected that one to be a lie because WTF would someone lie about that? Nothing is real anymore, sad face. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day is a marketing slogan for Kellogg's cereal. I tell people that I skip breakfast and they legit think that's unhealthy. It's all about calories in versus calories out. I prefer skipping breakfast and having a larger dinner. Pre-pregnancy I was a breakfast skipper and I told no one because people are super weird about it. I just find I'm hungrier at night and would prefer to eat more then. I can even get up, have black coffee, run 5 miles, and then wait to have some lunch. Your body is pretty good at storing and grabbing energy when you need it. Every time someone mentions Chipotle, someone's got to chime in with their own by McDonald's. No, they aren't. Between 2001 to 2006, McDonald's was the largest single investor in Chipotle but they never owned it. And in 2006 they completely divested from it. However, McDonald's does own Krispy Kreme. Edit, I was wrong about Krispy Kreme. When you pluck a gray hair it will grow back along with a few others. I mean, if you pluck a gray hair, it means you starting to grow gray hairs. Which means more will grow. Whether you pluck them or not, unfortunately. The Mozart effect. Listening to Mozart makes you smarter. It is based on a one-time study, the effects of which have never been reliably replicated. Mozart was a prolific genius and his music remains splendid, but it ain't gonna help you pass the test. The Roman guards in Life of Brian were told that if they laughed in the scene with Biggest Dickus, they wouldn't get paid. The rambunctious laughter was the plot device used to give Brian a chance to escape from the guards. Of course it was scripted. Still funny though. Furthermore, I often hear it repeated that Holy Grail ends so suddenly, because they ran out of money. That's nonsense. It ends that way because they wrote it into the script that way. They didn't do a huge final battle because it would have been too expensive, but it was never actually planned in the first place. Also, ending things suddenly as Holy Grail does is possibly one of the most recognizably Python kinds of humor around. This movie's getting entirely too silly. A strawberry isn't actually a berry. A banana is though. Watermelon is also a berry. If you swallow gum, it will stay in your stomach for 7 years. First of all, why 7 years? Second of all, I know gum is sticky, but it's not going to stay inside of you for years on end. It's going to pass through just like all the other food you swallow. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Gum is a lot smaller than most of the food we eat, so that makes no sense. Oh, I can actually answer this one. It's a misunderstanding of that it would take 7 years for your stomach acids to break down a piece of gummy. Digest it. Like it won't stay in your stomach for 7 years, but if you put a piece of gum in a bucket of stomach acid, it would take 7 years before it was broken down. One needs to drink at least 8 glasses of water a day. I always knew Big Water was out to con us. Asterisk shakes fist at cloud asterisk. That you can't go swimming after eating. It was an old wives' tale so the adults could keep drinking before they had to go watch the kids. If you ingest LSD, it will get stored in your spine for the rest of your life. That's not even remotely near the truth. Organic agriculture doesn't use pesticides and GMOs are bad. Cracking your knuckles causes arthritis and makes them grow big. I'm a long-time knuckle cracker and it made my entire day when my boyfriend at the time told that, and I debunked it on him with a simple link to a medical document. Don't use stupid old wives' tales on a paramedic. We love debunking that asterisk 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 asterisk.